Carl here from Metal Wani, and joining me today is not only one of the most prestigious guitar players of our time, he is also an integral member of the two-time Grammy-nominated Dream Theater. It is, of course, none other than John Petrucci himself. John, thanks so much for taking the time to do this today, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So you guys are gearing up to release your new record, Distance Over Time, and John, let me start by saying it's a phenomenal album, man. Congratulations to you and the guys, first of all.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome to hear. Thank you so much.
Of course, when I started listening to it for the first time around 9 p.m. the other night, and at 4 a.m. I was still spinning it, so, you know, I'm in love with it. Forgive my temerity in saying this, but, you know, when you guys have a new record on the way, I get this trepidation because I'm thinking, how do these guys do this time and time again? And you always deliver, this time included. And I believe this time was what you referred to as a more organic return to roots kind of endeavour. And I'd love to hear a bit more on that, if you'd be so kind, man.
Yeah, I mean, this one, just by the nature of how we did it, it really lent itself to make this kind of record that was a little bit more, like you said, more rootsy, more primal, more organic. You know, the whole band went away to a location together. It was like kind of being like on a guy's, like, you know, hunting trip or a camping trip or something. And, you know, like a retreat. No distractions, no commuting, you know, just being together, being able to hang out long days, play music, write, you know, take a break, barbecue, hang out at night, drink some bourbon, wake up the next day, make some bacon and eggs, and do the whole thing again. So, like, just the environment in which we did it and the way that which we did it contributed to this more of like a bonding experience as friends and as musicians. So the music, I think, kind of just, it really oozes that, you know, that feeling of like connection and rootsiness. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way it came out.
Of course, man. And when you guys moved into the country house together, and as you said, manning barbecues and, you know, having some bourbon at night and riding throughout the summer, it sounds like exiling yourselves from these more, you know, citified structures really helped inform the writing, or at least created a space for you guys where you could just enjoy each other's company, and that energy is really reflected in the songs. And I think that'd be fair to say, wouldn't it? Or what do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, because we really did enjoy each other's company. It's like, you know, as much as we spend a lot of time together on the road, as long as we've known each other, it's not the same when you're kind of traveling and, you know, you have the show and then you have a day off, or you're in the studio and you say goodnight and you drive back home. You know, when you're able to just go sort of hang out and just like talk and watch TV together or have a meal or cook or whatever, it creates a different kind of environment. And so everybody felt very much a part of what was going on and very like invested in the outcome, because it's like you're doing this project together and feeling really positive and proud of what you're doing. So it really was a great environment to do it in.
Amazing, man. And it's really great that after all this time you guys still have that camaraderie. And a couple of tracks that really stood out to me on the record were, and I mean there were a few, but first of all, Paralyzed, such a great number that really gets its hooks into you. But then I came across Out of Reach, and man, that piece is so emotive and so heartbreakingly good. If you'd be so kind, I'd love to ask what the genesis of that song was. Where did it come from?
Sure. Well, that's a funny song because we really didn't intend to write like a ballad necessarily on this record. And it was one day I walked into the studio, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, where it's just really relaxed and chill. And I started playing my baritone guitar, which is the same guitar that Paralyzed was written with. So it's a very deep, low-tuned guitar. And I started playing this clean thing. Next thing I know, Jordan starts playing along with me. And we just sort of very naturally composed a song on the spot, just improvising. And when we finished, we were like, wow, that's really cool. Like, we really should record record that. Like, it wasn't our intention at all. But basically, Out of Reach, it was written in the time it took for us to play it. Like, it was really, like, off the cuff.
Wow.
And so it's just a matter of, like, locking the form in a little bit, and we recorded a demo of it, within a few hours it was all done. But we weren't really sure, like, we would put it on the record. It was just a really pretty piece, so we were like, yeah, let's do something with this. And I think it ended up being a nice part of the record in the end.
It's a gorgeous part of the record, man. And I was watching the studio video of Untethered Angels, and I'm wondering if you could possibly help me end a small online debate. It was surprising to see Mike's cymbals so high and seeing him, extending his reach.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why this was set up like that? Because fans online have been discussing it, and I think it's even become a meme now. So I was wondering if you'd be able to shine some light on that for us.
Yeah. A couple of reasons. I think, being the caring person that he is, I think Mike originally raised the cymbals out of the way so that they wouldn't interfere with James on stage. Like, because of James's height and him holding his microphone and the drum riser, like, the cymbals are, like, right at his head level. So I think part of the reason he pushed them out of the way was to help out James. And the other reason, if I'm not mistaken, you'd have to really ask Mike, but I think he wanted to create more of a window, like more visual access, so you can see what he's actually doing. It doesn't physically look very convenient.
That's where the debate.
I don't know how he does that. That has to be hell on your shoulders. But, only Mike could do that,
Sure, man, sure. Well, thank you for helping us get some clarification on that. So when it comes to your music and, Dream Theater as a collective, I think it would be more than fair to say that there is a wonderful juxtaposition going on, where by that I mean Dream Theater certainly has its own sound, but at the same time, you can't be entirely sure in what shape that will take on each record respectively, which keeps it interesting, and it's a credit to you guys as writers. And would you agree with this? And if so, what is it that in 2019 and since 1985 that keeps you wanting to be artistically brave?
Right. Well, that's definitely accurate. And it's kind of a funny thing. Like, just having a conversation about this. It's hard if you're, somebody who's going to turn Dream Theater on to a new listener. It's hard to sort of pick what type of song to play, because you're right. They kind of come from a different side of us a lot of the times. You might have a song like The Spirit Carries On or Another Day or even Out of Reach that are very sort of emotional and melodic and more ballady. And then we have like all this sort of technical crazy stuff, and then we have records like Train of Thought and Systematic Chaos that are very heavy and dark. So, I think it's like for us, and this ties into the second part of your question, is like what keeps us going and motivated is that creative edge, is that spark to just try different and new things and explore. And it's sort of part of like, being a progressive band, a prog band, which we're fine labeling ourselves as a prog band or a prog metal band, but it's sort of like in the nature of that is that you try different things. You try new things, new sounds, and in the end, it's like records are all an experience. To me, it's always been like watching a movie. It's like an event that you sit down for, and I remember doing that as a kid, as a teenager, as a young man, just like putting on a Yes record or a Rush record or a Pink Floyd record or whatever it is, and just listening to the whole thing. And it's like you experience it the way you experience a movie. So, when you think about things in those sort of broad strokes with that bigger picture mentality, it makes you kind of a little bit more open-minded to try like a range of different things. So this way, a record isn't just one-dimensional. As you're listening, you kind of get taken on this ride, and you're not sure what's going to be around the next corner. That unpredictability, I think, is really what makes it interesting and keeps us really motivated.
100%. I love the way you phrase that, and I think you're spot on as well, man. And one of the things I admire about you as a player, and don't get me wrong, there's quite a few I could sit down and have a whole other conversation with you about that. But one of the things I admire you as a player and a person is that you're not complacent. You've never been one of these players who tries to retain an egregious ego by, like, you know, hiding your techniques, as some have in the past. In fact, I'd say, you know, you would rather try invigorate players who want to follow in your footsteps by detailing to them how you do what you do. Is it important to you, you know, this approach, and if so, why, and what's your thinking behind it?
Well, it is important, and, you know, it's probably the reason why is because I think about myself as a young player and how, you know, music education was such a big part of satisfying, like, my hungry need to know everything about the guitar, you know, whether it was before I went to Berkeley and I was just trying to, like, pick up any sort of article and that I could in the guitar magazines or watch videos and learn things. You know, to fast forward to me doing guitar camps with a lot of my friends and some of the most amazing players in the world, like that guitar community camaraderie, like, thing, you know, the willingness of guitar players to share, and everything from technique to tone to, you know, and everything in between. It's like, to me, that's really important. And it's inspiring, and it inspired me when I was younger, so I like to kind of carry that on.
I love that.
You know, as a professional.
That's really cool. I love that. And finally, John, I won't keep you too much longer, man, but something I've always wanted to get your take on. You know, something I always appreciated about the music of Dream Theater is that it isn't arbitrary. You know, it's very clear that you guys don't wing it. And I think it keeps you moving forward in an era where there's a profound sense of retrograde or retromania. And and don't get me wrong, it's TV, it's everywhere, but a lot of music now at least feels like it has a very strong addiction to its own past. And I'm wondering, would you agree with this, or what are your thoughts on the current state?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. You know, it depends on the band and the artist. You know, what they're trying to do. Obviously, you know, there are a lot of artists who do like to push boundaries and push forward and create new sounds. But, you know, there's something about staying connected to, like, your original motivation as a creative person that I think is probably important. It's sort of like the parallel is, you know, you think about your family and where you're from, you know, and if you're, in my case, a family from Italian immigrants came over to New York, and, you know, family is such a big part of who you are, but then, you know, past that, you have your own family, and you branch out and everything, but, you know, you never forget, like, the connection to where you came from and those old recipes for meals and things like that. It's what makes you, like, a deeper person. So, you know, I think, like, that sense of being authentic as an artist, as a musician is really important. Some musicians, like, really do that well, and I think that's why the music is so believable, because it all comes down to, like, the connection that you make as somebody playing music to somebody listening to the music, you know. So that authenticity is really super important.
Well, I think you guys have been nailing that authenticity for a long time now, and this record included, man, so nicely done.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really happy you like it. That's awesome.
I love it, dude. And just on a little personal note, of course, there's plenty of people here in Dublin, Ireland who hope to get you guys over here again at some point. We'd love to see you and hang out with you.
We'd really love to, and I cannot believe in all the years we've been touring, we've only played there once. It's really insane, so we need to get over there.
We know. Well, listen, John, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. The record is stunning, and I wish nothing but the best for you and the guys for the rest of 2019, my friend, and I hope to catch you on the road as well.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, John, have a great day, my friend.
You too.